In this week's video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 6 worst things about this little fella, the Peloton Guide. Peloton's newest product and their state-of-the-art movement tracker for workouts. Codenamed Tiger. I think they might have actually meant Tony the Tiger. Let's get cracking. I've not even started yet and I've run into problems. In my workouts, I like to have something playing in the background. So I've picked this one, Arms with Tundi. On the left here, you can see that's kind of highlighted. So that's the area that this controller's on. I'm gonna go to the middle. I'm gonna click on week 1, which is taking me to that part there. That part's now highlighted, and I just want to start the workout. Right, I've scrapped that and I've managed to get this one working. That is unusual, but as you can see, highlights a problem with the guide already. That's a software issue, so I hope it can be fixed. Now, before I start talking about the worst things about this, I just want to say this is one of 2 videos. This is the worst things video. At the end of this video, I will link you to the best things video. Please watch both for balance. If you're watching this video when it first comes out, you might have to wait a week for the other video to go live. And if you've already got a Peloton Guide, let me know what your thoughts are as well in the comments. Let's start with the movement tracker, which I think if you can see is this kind of box around me. I'll do the screen side by side so it's easier to see. So with this movement tracker, you can see there's a little water droplet there. And as I do the exercise, this man's working very hard. I'm just using jazz hands. As I work through the workout, that water droplet fills up. And when you've completed the set, you get credited for either doing the workout or not doing that part of the workout. I've just used jazz hands to get credited for doing this part of the workout. Oh, it's crashed. Oh. Okay, the guide's having a bad day. Right, it's managed to get it rebooted. Let's try again. Now, if you do the workouts properly, this can be quite motivating. But if you look at this, I'm actually doing the workouts, but it's not crediting me for every single one. Let's see how I do at the end of this. Oh, I'm getting a bit tired now. I do feel like I'm actually having a workout. So I'll keep running for the whole of this set. So you can see, although I did the workout, I didn't actually get any credit. I got more credit for jazz hands than actually working out. And to be completely honest, if you're trying to trick the system and you're able to trick it by waving your arms about, then that's on you, isn't it? But when you're actually working hard and you've paid for a tracker and it's not tracking what you're doing, then that's actually more demotivating than motivating. Other exercises it has trouble seeing things like crossbody bicep curls. So because it's essentially drawing a square around you, and as far as I can tell, when you move the square, it counts the reps. There's not a lot of movement here if there is a square drawn around me, is there? So it doesn't actually see these very well at all. And things like bench press, it can see quite well. But bearing in mind these workouts on the guide are developed for the guide, I've had workouts where you're doing an alternate bench press. And if you imagine that square around me now, because one of my arms is staying up, there's no movement really for the tracker to see, and you don't get a credit. To reiterate, these are actually workouts that Peloton have designed for the guide, which results in things like this. Recently, I did a workout verbatim. I made sure I copied the instructor, every move, stood where I was meant to stand for it to track me properly. And you can see here, I got credited for 54% of the workout. This did not make me feel good. I've actually done workouts where the Peloton instructors have given you the instruction, which is to turn your mat sideways when you're working out, I appreciate my mat isn't sideways, but when I work out, it is sideways. And they give you an idea of where to be when you're doing the workouts. And there's been 2 or 3 workouts where they've actually said, and if it doesn't track you properly, don't worry about it. So basically, one of the workouts, the instructor said, if it doesn't track you properly, it's all good, baby. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're telling me that something designed to track my workout, when it doesn't work, it's all right, baby. Telling me that something's okay when it doesn't do what it meant to do, I mean, there's a word for that, isn't there? And because the Peloton guide doesn't actually give me any feedback on the screen to my form and if I'm doing the exercises properly, I find that actually a mirror, something like this, offers me much better feedback than the Peloton guide does. Next thing is the cost, and I'm not talking about the cost to buy it. It's £275 in the UK. I'll put the US price on the screen as well. It's actually, if it did what it said it did, it's actually quite a well-priced product, I think. However, it's the subscription cost that is the most worrying part. Now, if you've got a Peloton tread, a Peloton bike, or a Peloton rower, then you can just skip this part because the subscription for this is included in the cost of those. If you're thinking about using this as a standalone device, so you don't have the tread, rower, or bike, then the subscription price for 2022 in the UK is £24 a month. And that's a lot, but then after 2022, 2023 onwards, it goes up to £39 a month. So that's nearly £500 a year subscription for this device. When you think about that compared to the Peloton app, and the Peloton app I absolutely love. I use it with Apple TV on here. I use it a lot. It is brilliant. It used to be £20, £19.99. If you remember that, let me know. And then I thought that was good value. And then they reduced it to £12.99. And for the volume of content and coaching that Peloton give you, £12.99 a month is just an absolute bargain. So if you're a Peloton app user and then you decide you want to use the Peloton guide, it's 3 times the cost. I've got nothing else to say. Next is the remote. I'm going to switch from the app to the guide, and as you can see, it's looking for the remote. The remote's just here. So, as quite often happens, is you have to just fiddle about with this remote, do what it says, press the up button and that button to connect the remote. And from here, I can't click on my picture, which would be the obvious thing, wouldn't it? I have to go to add profile and then come back to my picture and then click on it. And then wait. And we're in. So it just feels very much like, almost like a Gen 1 Amazon Prime TV remote, a bit worse. You've got this sort of scratchy plastic on the back, and then you've got this like really horrible sort of spongy feeling on the front. It's not very responsive either. You have to press it quite a few times. It's just not very good to use. If you compare it to this Apple TV remote, this feels nice, it's light, it works when you press the buttons. If Apple can do this, why are Peloton coming up with something like this? One of my biggest annoyances are the display settings. So there I am, hello in the little screen there, and you can change this. So if I wanted to be stacked, I can do that. And there I am on top of the instructor. You can see we've got stats here. Now these are really important. So that's basically telling me the class schedule. That's telling me who's here. You can see here I'm minimized again and the stats are there. I like the stats. By far the best workout option I find is side by side. And in side by side mode, you don't get any stats. So looking at this, there's all this screen real estate here and up here as well. But for some reason, the most useful setting for me to be side by side with an instructor, for me anyway, you don't get any data. You can't even see how long is left on the class. I don't understand this. Next is picture and sound quality. So let's start with the picture quality. Now, I don't really understand why more connected home fitness devices don't have a 4K option. Yes, it's harder to stream 4K, but surely there should be an option to switch between the two. 1080p has been around for a long time, and it's disappointing that this device is 1080p. If you think about a Peloton bike with a 24-inch screen, then maybe you can have an argument there for 1080p because it's so much smaller. But this device is specifically designed to work with your home TV. How big is your home TV? It's probably larger than it was several years ago. And with that in mind, 4K is just such a better experience than 1080p. To compound that even further, the guide picture quality isn't as good as the app picture quality. Let me try and show you. So as I get in closer, I don't know if you can see or not, but I'm not saying it's not 1080p, but it doesn't really feel as sharp as the app. Let me show you the app. Here's the same workout, but on the app. I'm not really sure how well this will come over, but it is just sharper. There seems to be a better picture quality via the app than there is via the guide. It's also so much easier to navigate through the app than it is through the guide. The sound quality is also different. So I would say with the app, it's fine, it's perfect. With the guide, it's almost like the loudness has been turned up, which can make it sound a little bit shouty, like this might do now. So in conclusion, if you love the bike and the tread like I do, and the rower, if you're watching this in the future, but where has the rower gone? Why aren't they talking about it anymore? It seems to have just vanished. If you love those, I don't think you're going to love this as much. And like me, you might find it just a lot easier to switch your television on and go to the app than use the guide. It's just so much easier to use, so much more convenient. And with the things I'm talking about, the extra functionality with the guide, it doesn't really make it worth the hassle for me for a lot of workouts. However, if you're choosing to buy a guide and you're prepared to be not that impressed, then you might find it useful. It does offer more things than just the app alone, and I will do a full review, but I am still so much on the fence with this product. I'll link to the best things about it here. Don't forget to watch that one too for balance, and I'll be interested to see the difference in views that they get. Generally, the bad videos get more views than the good videos. But there you go. Anyway, until next time, see you soon.